of the world's richest, most notorious drug kingpins broke out of prison.
Former cartel leader is considered one of the most dangerous drug traffickers in the world.
Tunnel King.
The master of tunnels.
El rey de los túneles.
Prince of tunnel.
Imagine being so powerful that even prison walls can't hold you. This was the reality for El Chapo, the infamous drug lord of Mexico. Born Joaquín Guzmán, he rose from a poor boy in Sinaloa to the leader of the world's most powerful drug cartel. Despite being captured and locked in the most secure prisons, El Chapo always found a way out. His most daring escape was in 2001 when he slipped out of a high-security prison hidden in a laundry cart. For the next 14 years, he evaded capture, all while his empire grew larger and more violent. Then, in 2014, he was caught again and placed in Altiplano, Mexico's toughest prison. But El Chapo had a plan. In 2015, he escaped through an incredible mile-long tunnel dug right into his cell. How did he manage to dig a tunnel without anyone noticing? What kind of genius and madness drove him to outsmart the world's best security? El Chapo's story is one of relentless ambition, unimaginable wealth, and incredible escapes. Follow the incredible story of how one man defied the odds and became the untouchable drug lord. El Chapo, born Joaquín Guzmán in 1957 in the small town of La Tuna in Sinaloa, Mexico, grew up in poverty. His early life was marked by hardship, as his father was a small-time cattle rancher and occasional drug smuggler. Forced to fend for himself at a young age, El Chapo began working in the marijuana fields alongside his cousins. This tough start would lay the foundation for his future in the world of drug trafficking. As a teenager, El Chapo quickly realized that the drug trade offered a way out of poverty. He started by selling small quantities of marijuana and quickly moved on to working for larger drug operations. In the late 1970s, he joined forces with Hector Luis Palma Salazar, also known as El Guerrero, a prominent figure in the Guadalajara cartel. El Chapo's job was to oversee drug shipments from Colombia to Mexico, ensuring their safe passage into the United States. El Chapo's ruthless efficiency and willingness to use violence to achieve his goals caught the attention of the cartel's leadership. He earned a reputation for killing anyone who got in his way, earning him the nickname El Rapido for his quick and decisive actions. By the late 1980s, El Chapo had risen through the ranks to become one of the cartel's top leaders. In 1989, after the arrest of Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo, the leader of the Guadalajara cartel, the organization splintered into smaller factions. Seizing the opportunity, El Chapo formed the Sinaloa cartel with Palma Salazar. The Sinaloa cartel quickly established itself as one of the most powerful drug trafficking organizations in the world, specializing in smuggling cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana into the United States. El Chapo's innovation in drug trafficking was unparalleled. He pioneered the use of tunnels to smuggle drugs across the U.S.-Mexico border, a tactic that would become a hallmark of his operations. These tunnels were highly sophisticated, equipped with ventilation systems, lighting, and even rail tracks to transport the drugs efficiently. The tunnels allowed the Sinaloa cartel to bypass traditional border security measures and move large quantities of drugs undetected. One of the first tunnels discovered was in 1990, stretching from a house in Agua Prieta, Sonora, to a warehouse in Douglas, Arizona. The tunnel was over 300 feet long and featured electric lights and a hydraulic lift. This tunnel shocked U.S. authorities and demonstrated the lengths to which El Chapo would go to ensure the success of his operations. El Chapo's growing influence and the violence associated with his cartel drew the attention of both Mexican and U.S. authorities. In 1993, he was arrested in Guatemala and extradited to Mexico, where he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for drug trafficking, bribery, and criminal association. He was imprisoned in Puente Grande, a maximum security prison in Jalisco, Mexico. However, imprisonment did little to curb El Chapo's power. Through bribery, he continued to run his cartel from behind bars. Guards and officials at Puente Grande were on his payroll, allowing him to live in relative comfort. He had access to luxuries such as alcohol, gourmet food, and even conjugal visits. It was as if the prison walls were merely a formality. In 2001, facing the threat of extradition to the United States, El Chapo decided to escape. With the help of his trusted associate, Damaso Lopez, who was the deputy chief of security at Puente Grande, El Chapo orchestrated a daring escape. On January 19, 2001, he slipped into a laundry cart pushed by a prison worker named Cheeto, who had been bribed to assist in the escape. El Chapo's small stature allowed him to fit comfortably in the cart, which was wheeled out of the prison without arousing suspicion. Once outside, El Chapo was driven away in a waiting car, effectively disappearing into the night. For the next 13 years, El Chapo evaded capture, continuing to expand his cartel's operations. His ability to remain at large was due in large part to his extensive network of safe houses and loyal followers who were willing to protect him at any cost. El Chapo's influence over local law enforcement was also a significant factor in his ability to remain free. Many officers were either on his payroll or too afraid to act against him. During this time, the Sinaloa cartel's power grew exponentially. The cartel's operations extended into more than 50 countries, and El Chapo became one of the richest men in the world, with Forbes estimating his net worth at over $1 billion. The cartel's reach was vast, and its methods were increasingly violent. Cities along the U.S.-Mexico border became battlegrounds as the Sinaloa cartel fought for control of key trafficking routes. In 2014, El Chapo's luck ran out. After years of tracking his movements, Mexican authorities, with assistance from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration DEA, managed to locate him. On February 22, 2014, they raided a beachfront condominium in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, and arrested him. El Chapo was once again sent to Altiplano, Mexico's most secure prison. Despite the heightened security measures, El Chapo began plotting his escape almost immediately. His cartel members outside the prison started working on a tunnel that would lead directly to his cell. They purchased a property a mile away from the prison and began digging a tunnel equipped with ventilation, lighting, and even a motorcycle on rails to facilitate quick movement. On the night of July 11, 2015, El Chapo slipped through a hole in the shower floor of his cell, descending into the tunnel below. The tunnel led him to a construction site where he was met by his associates. From there, he was whisked away to a safe location, once again evading capture. The escape was a significant embarrassment for the Mexican government and highlighted the deep-rooted corruption within the prison system. El Chapo's freedom, however, was short-lived. After months on the run, Mexican authorities, with intelligence support from the DEA, tracked him to a house in Las Mochis, Sinaloa. On January 8, 2016, they launched a pre-dawn raid on the house. El Chapo attempted to flee through another tunnel but emerged in the city's sewer system, where he was eventually apprehended by Mexican Marines.
The most wanted and feared man in the world has been captured again, 6 months after his escape.
This time, the Mexican government decided to extradite El Chapo to the United States, recognizing that keeping him in Mexico was too great a risk. On January 19, 2017, he was extradited to the U.S. and charged with a litany of crimes, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The trial, held in Brooklyn, New York, was one of the most high-profile cases in recent history. Testimonies from former associates, damning evidence, and the tales of his brutal regime painted a grim picture of his reign. In February 2019, El Chapo was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. He was sent to the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility ADX in Florence, Colorado, also known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. This supermax prison is considered the most secure in the US, designed to house the most dangerous criminals. Here, El Chapo spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement with no chance of escape. El Chapo's story is one of incredible rise and dramatic falls. His ability to evade capture, orchestrate complex operations from behind bars, and escape from maximum security prisons is unparalleled. Yet, his life also underscores the devastating impact of the drug trade on countless lives, both in Mexico and around the world. His legacy is a stark reminder of the destructive power of drugs and the lengths to which individuals will go to maintain their empires.